This podcast is brought to you by the Education and Youth Board of Estonia, member of ERYICA, the European Youth Information and Counseling Agency. Podcast is an activity of project YIminds, Youth Information Minding Young People's Mental Health. I am your host, Marit Kannelmäe-Geerts. Hello. In this episode, we will talk about the topic of how to bring in the help when needed. And also we will talk about how to gather then the simple, structured, practical youth information that is useful for young people, but really also how to cooperate with other services when needed. Today I also have two guests with me. So we have Alejandara, Sola, Ávila from Spain, and we have Pece, Krstevski, I'm sorry. Very cool name. So you can also introduce yourself. You're from North Macedonia, and maybe you can best start talking about a bit about yourself, your connection with youth work and mental health services.
My name is Pece Krstevski. Like I said, I come from North Macedonia, from a really nice town next to the Greek border called Bitola. I'm turning 22 soon. I'm a young person that works with youth, not a youth worker. I'm an executive director of nearly the only youth-led organization in our town that is totally led and organized and functioning by young people. I also work as a program coordinator, program director in one of the oldest organizations that works with people with intellectual disabilities. We turned 40 this year, called Porakanova. And my connection with mental health is not that deep, should I say. I have dealt with mental health issues myself, like everybody else, I should say. And for me, honestly, I think the background of it comes from seeing how mental health services in our area where I come from function and work. So overall, that's my sort of small connection with mental health.
Okay, thank you and welcome. Alejandara?
Hi. Yes, I come from Spain, from a very small municipality in the southern part. I'm currently a project manager for Erasmus Plus projects in the municipality and also a youth worker in the Youth Information Center. I think it's worth mentioning that before being a youth worker myself, I was a volunteer for many years. And I'm also directly engaged with the youth in a youth NGO. So yeah, I think both Pece and myself deal with mental health. I don't want to say issues at all. I want to say situations. Also with ourselves. So I'm learning every day. I'm encountering new different situations on a daily basis. And well, I'm really glad to be here.
Cool, thank you and welcome. I think both of you already in the introduction brought out a very important part of mental health is that we all have it. And if we say even with mental health problems, people face every third, every fourth person in their life might have even like serious struggles with mental health. And we know that we are all connected. Well, we all know somebody who is struggling. We all have experienced some of it ourselves. So basically this topic cannot be strange to anyone or unfamiliar. And yet there's a lot of stigma, yet there is a lot of questions. So that's why we have these podcasts. But to start out first, because we talk about bringing in help and we want to know a little bit more about you. In our organization, NGO Head Matters, Peaasi in Estonian, we just finished our every spring mental health vitamin campaign. And one of these vitamins we say is also good relations. And when we talk about bringing in the help, then from your own perspective, you can say it in work-wise or personally, who are the people you bring in your life when you feel like you need somebody in your corner? So maybe you can start?
Yeah, so I rely a lot on my family. I think it's when we have a sense of extended family, which is like really supportive. So I'm not only speaking about my parents and my sister, for example, but also my uncles, my aunts, my grandparents, So those are the people that I rely on the most, and also really good friends that are ready to support me anytime. Personally, I'm not sharing a lot about myself. I'm quite reserved and shy. And I have found that this might be an obstacle sometimes, because people need to be a little pushy with me in order to get some information from me. But I understand how important it is to share and to get that thing that is like bothering you outside, to get it out, because you can really feel the weight lift once you share it. So my close environment is family, friends, and sometimes colleagues as well, you know. Colleagues can be a good supportive resource in the work sphere. So yeah.
Okay. And you, Pece?
I would generally feel the same with Alejandra. I always go to some of the closest people in my life whom I am emotionally connected to in a way. So it's either family or friends or somebody that I feel that it's comforting to me. But also like Ale, I'm really, really tough to get to. Even one of my therapists had a really hard time to get the things that bother me, because I don't know, I feel like we really need to understand that it took me a while to understand that there are resources and that there are people who can help me, even though I don't feel it like that. For example, it can be one-on-one conversation that me and you randomly have on a nice sunset, just casually talking about life, and you open up to someone that you that you feel the moment, and you feel the connectivity at that right time. So think the people that we feel emotionally connected to and we click like that are the ones to go to. Even sometimes they can be better therapists than one.
Yeah. I think it's also, again, something nice you brought out. One is that you have the close network of family or friends. If you have, you might not. But then again, there's some people that you just connect to and you can share some things that are very important. And probably today's episode is a little bit also about this, that what if young people don't have the support network around them from adults that they grew up with or that they don't have very close friends. So who are then the people around them? And then when we talk about youth workers, then question is like, who can they rely on when they feel they need extra help? So that's what we're talking about, Alejandra. Like, what, if you would have to say it now to everyone, what does it actually mean to bring in then the extra help?
I think it means being ready to offer resources, not necessarily mean that we have to be mental health counselors or psychologists or, skilled professionals, because we're not. And I think we really need to draw a line between being a professional health provider and a youth worker. But we need to know where the resources and the tools are in order to get them quickly, contact the resources, reach out to them, and redirect them to the young person. So that's probably the main thing I would say we should do. Also, assessing the urgency of the situation. Like, of course, we have different levels of situations we face. It's not the same, trying to help someone in a panic attack or an anxiety crisis, than just seeing someone a little bit down, that changed a little bit over time. Some things are more urgent than others. Mm-hmm. So, assessing how important and quick we need to react is also really important. And here in my notes, I had a third thing, which is being present and receptive. Of course, we are not family members or friends, but we need to try and be empathetic and as warm as possible. Because sometimes, and I feel this is true to myself as well, the only thing we need is, someone who is actually caring and listening to us, not just, I'm talking to you now, I'm looking you in the eyes, So I really try to be there, that you can feel that I'm here for you. And personally, I consider myself an empathetic person. I can be in the shoes of others, or at least I try. So I think these are the 3 keys for us youth workers to offer, mental health counseling. Just be there, be a friend, or try to respond urgently to the matter, and knowing where the resources are.
Yeah. Also bringing out very important part that we should not miss is really, like you said, looking into somebody's eyes and being there for them. We also know from research that actually like this face-to-face contact already increases our, like, as we say, like happiness hormones and hormones that even might ease some pain, even physical pain, that we need people around us. And when we don't have them, then we look for them in different ways. So that's already one big part of youth work that we, and also you said like not missing out the first signs from somebody, that to be kind of alert all the time and get to know the young people. But Pece, from your side, then when we talk about young people, bringing in the help, what does it mean in that sense to you as a young person? And do you feel that young people are ready to accept the help or the contact from adults around them?
Well, we need to be clear that young people are, when they feel ready to go and seek counseling or help from someone, I think from my point of view, it's really good to have someone who is professional, and like I said earlier, that they feel comfortable to. But also the counseling and the professional counselor, should I say, I think I would only use there for when the situation gets really excessive. And what Alejandra said, just being present and listening to some of your peers. As us as peers, we all have someone or know someone who deals with mental health, like Alejandra said, situations. And when they trust the person who they're talking to, they want to get heard. They want to be there, like be there for somebody. That's how I felt it. That's what I needed. Mm-hmm. I needed somebody that I can just spill my words to, spill my mind, don't think about anything else, just be heard. And the most important thing is having that non-judgmental area where we don't have any barriers, basically. We don't have any walls in between us, because I do want to speak out, but I don't want to have a one-way conversation where you're just not with your hand, with your head. Sorry.
Yeah. So also what you both bring out is one part is that in a lot of countries also youth work is done through volunteers, and a lot of organizations also work with young people to young people. So it means that there's some skills that we also need to give to volunteers. And also if you're a professional youth worker, you're not a professional mental health professional.
That is a really important topic that we see a lot, that it's some wrong in some countries. I see it as the youth worker needs to be the middleman in between the young person who is having some mental situation and the professional counselor. We cannot, I personally feel that we cannot let youth workers deal with excessive situations, because then that brings more harm to the person who's dealing with that situation.
For sure. I think it's very important. And also in last episode, be sure to listen to those as well. We did go through the fact that youth workers should be doing their own work, and that they should be let to do their own work. And also teachers, for example, they should not be feeling the responsibility that they have to solve all the problems. So then we can actually get into a question of like, but who are the people and when do we then bring in the extra help? What are the situations you think, Alejandra, are the ones where we, as youth workers or volunteers, have to say, okay, now I should start some procedure of helping giving an extra hand for a young person to to receive a service?
I think it's really important also, going back to our previous point, to rely on the youth volunteers that we have. Usually, for example, the volunteers at a youth center, they talk to each other, they are friends, they are colleagues. So they can actually be a really good resource to point out that something is wrong with someone. And we need to stay alert to detect the signs or the signals, whether they are small or getting big. So I really liked our conversation about the vitamins, because, in order to have a good mental health and good health in general, we need the really basic small things, like getting good sleep, our food needs to be healthy. So when we detect perhaps, changes in sleep patterns or appetite, concentration loss, fatigue, this might be isolated symptoms, but when they start to get interconnected and eventually affect, someone's ability to go out with their friends when they used to go out a lot, or just, maintain healthy relationships, this might be a sign that there is, something behind that person's mental health. So, of course, those signs can lead to more serious problems. So just, being alert and acting whenever we notice something wrong is really crucial to bring in the help. I think also, and this is perhaps cliche, acting sooner than later is way better, because then probably we're going to regret it if we didn't bring in the help when we thought it first. Not just, we should not diminish the importance of these signs, not make them smaller and make them like they are not as important, because probably, they are hiding something. And I think it's also really important to ensure a safe environment when we are trying to bring in the help. As we previously said, we are not mental health counselors, but we need to reach them out when we detect these signs. And in this process, we really need to ensure the person's privacy and not try and, not either maximizing the issue, but also not minimizing it. Just keep it true to what it is, and not be judgmental, not compare it to somebody else's, not even our own problems. If we fall into comparisons, I think that's really unfair to the person's situation, because even if we try to be in their shoes, in their place, I don't think we're going to be able to understand it fully, because the circumstances around that person are really different and can vary a lot. Acting in a timely manner, protecting the person's privacy, and choices as well, because they might want you to say more things to the professional mental health provider, or less things. So just respect their choice on the amount of information they are sharing with you, and that they will be sharing with the mental health professional. I think that's a really good definition. We are probably the middleman between the person seeking counseling and the providers. And we just need to, create this safe path where they can walk and feel confident enough to eventually get the solutions they're looking for.
Yeah, what I also really hear from your answer and from my own experience is also one thing that I always say to anyone who works with young people and who sees some kind of worrying signs. I hear a lot of times that people say, well, they do it just to get attention, or they need this attention from us. And yes, I agree, we all need attention because we're people, we need the connection. And some of the young people just, even if the behavior is somehow bothering you, it is still their way of showing that they need connection, they need the support. So I think this is very important, as you said, get the help sooner or better sooner than later. And also, if you really feel like something is wrong, then you need to ask that from the young person or to try to get help, because to leave it there like, okay, they're doing it for some reason that is not maybe approved from us, that's not the way to think in some way. But Pece, from your side, then, what do you think are young people, or what is, first of all, are young people ready to accept the help then, and what needs to be done that they would be ready then to, from youth workers' side, to consider some extra help, to take the extra steps to actually get some mental health service?
Well, what Alejandra said, totally, when somebody notices the symptoms of some mental health situations, should I say, lack of sleep, lack of concentration and everything, we need to understand that those things are normal for everyone at a certain level. This morning I listened to Bonnie Tyler, Total Eclipse of the Heart, and I generally thought that the lyrics there, every now and then I get a little bit lonely, every now and then I get a little bit tired, helpless, angry, and so on and so on. I think that's how everybody feels. But we need to realize when the water is overfilling the glass. When is the right time to approach someone? And what Alejandra said, we need to leave the biased opinion. We must not have biased opinion there, because as a person, for example, let's say me and Alejandra are talking to something, I dealt with that situation really differently, but Alejandra cannot deal with it like that. Everybody is different. Everybody has different methods of dealing with their mental health situations. And I think there's a lot of things that can be done there, offering, let's say, coping classes, how to cope with your situations, how to approach somebody, how to communicate with somebody. It's really important, the empowering of young people to talk about their mental situation. I think one of the biggest challenges is the communication between young people. I didn't approach anybody for so long because I thought it was gonna be shameful. I thought I was gonna be laughed at. When I approached some of the people that I know, they said to me, well, listen, Pece, it's a phase, it will pass. Babies cry for so long and then they stop.
Also, I think in my case, or in our case, since we are still young, or at least I'd like to think so, when we're talking to younger boys and girls, they kind of feel more connected to us. So of course, an older youth worker can provide really good counseling and can be really a good professional. But perhaps we in our generation, we have learned to leave the biased opinion outside the door, outside the room. So, yeah, this trying to find and seek this connection with the other person and just put on their glasses and try and see how they are seeing things is really important, because, we're all different. We have different opinions, different ways of coping and behaving. So even if I think to myself, oh, I would solve this like this, maybe he takes a different road. So, that's not our role. We are not solving their problem. We are redirecting them to solve their problem.
The biased opinion, we must avoid the one size fits all when we speak about mental health.
In our organization, we also do mental health first aid, and one of it's like we teach it as a 5-step action. And the first one is to make contact with people, but the second is really to listen. And from the listening, we also say this is the place where you really listen. You don't add your own story. You don't add your thoughts of why you are going through this. The same thing as you said, it's only a phase. Like, what if it's a phase? It doesn't matter if it's a phase. You need help. You need somebody to reflect your situation, to figure out what is going on. And as you said before as well, for young people, like, I think it's wonderful method that when you have a song coming from a radio, you as a youth worker, you can say like, whoa, okay, stop, but we can, like, what do you think? Do we all get sometimes sad? Do we all have sometimes we get super angry and we don't know what to do with those anger, so we say bad things to other people. So you can use a lot of things in the normal life to, first of all, give the vocabulary to young people to express the feelings, to understand what is going on with me, and to leave the door open. Like, I don't care what it is that you're going through, like, I'm here to listen. So very valuable part. But then there is another part to the story that we say, if we help, then are we ready to help, or do we need also some extra education in the matter? And for that, I will share one testimonial from a young person, or some thoughts from a young person, and then we can look into it, like, what do you think? So the ideas from young person about getting help or getting support goes like this. Seeking mental health advice from unqualified individuals, although well-intended, can often be more harmful than helpful due to a lack of experience and understanding. While their support may seem comforting, it can unintentionally include myths and stigmas, leaving individuals feel invalidated and misunderstood. Instead, relying on licensed therapists and mental health professionals ensures access to evidence-based approaches and specialized support, ensuring genuine healing and growth. So, really big topic in mental health, because we also have around us a lot of people who really want to help, either it's with their own life experience or with their skills that they think they're good listeners and counselors, but then there are also sometimes worrying things connected to that. What are your reflections on this story? Alejandra first.
I think that's really true. We all feel safer when we know there's someone who is qualified and has the skills to help us on the other side. I imagine this, as if we are all children, and we need to get from point A to point B, and there's a long way ahead of us. It's not the same walking that way alone than walking that way with your hand, with somebody holding your hand, And I feel therapists are doing that a lot, are sitting in front of you and, opening their hearts to listen to you fully, to understand what's really going on with you. And, well, of course you need skills and qualifications to do that. We might have the best of intentions, and we actually do. But as I said, we are not the ones providing the counseling. We are just redirecting and just bringing in the help when we think it's necessary. We're also using our best judgment to detect, as I said, the urgency, what might be wrong. We are talking to perhaps the close environment of that person to detect the signs and kind of give our thoughts to the mental health provider. And this is something we have to be really careful about. We are not professionals, so we're not coming up with a diagnosis or anything, because that's again falling into the stigma, falling into our own conventions and thoughts, and we might totally be wrong. Yes. So, professionals are there for a reason. They have a qualification for a reason, and our role is just to hold that person's hand until they reach the point where they can talk to someone who, can really provide the support.
Yeah, and very important, so that the youth worker can then be critically seeing also who are the people that we're referring the young people to. Like, are they then licensed professionals? Do they base their work on evidence-based practices, or are they promising a very quick fix with some personal experiences or special skills that they have gained? And these are, I think, when it comes to young people, especially harmful when we are not basing the practice on evidence base. But Pece, from your side, what do you see in the story from your experience?
You can actually tell that's my testimonial that I did for from the focus group that we had, but I want to say why I actually wrote it. In Macedonia during the COVID pandemic, there were some call centers, should I say, that offered first psychological help, first aid basically, via hotline, via phones. And I know people who worked there who were behind the line, which was really interesting because the line was open from 8 till 4, not 24/7. And those people, I wouldn't say that were the professionals that should be behind the lines, the psychologists who went to college for 6-7 years, should I say, who mastered or even doctorated in some of those topics. It was people who went on a training course for a few days, who were dealing with hard situations. And I think in that case, exact case, they've dealt with more, they've done more harm than they've helped. Maybe they've helped someone with a really minor case, but if it was a more serious case, I think maybe life could have been lost. So that what motivated me to write the testimonial was that. But it was interesting because the COVID pandemic taught us that things can be digitalized, and you don't need to know who's behind the line. You just need to listen to them. That was the most important part, was the hiding the identity, which a lot of young people find really intimate nowadays. It's our identity is intimate. It's how not how one feels. It's how okay, we can scratch this. Okay, I'll start the sentence again. So,
start from the fact that the COVID pandemic proved that we can be also online and through phones, and then you can finish from there.
Okay. The COVID pandemic taught us that things can be done digitally, and those things can be can hide our identity. What young people fear the most was the confidentiality, that my identity and my problems might be leaked to somebody else. And that's the biggest case, even for me, was that the therapist that I spoke to will go on and talk to all their friends and family about me and share my names, but you realize that it's not like that. I was informed about my rights, that everything is confidential and everything is not shared with their coworkers or friends or whatever.
Yeah, I think two main points that you brought out. One is that it is a way, like, help can be provided in many different ways, and also in our organization we offer face-to-face counseling, but also through web. And young people often choose the web also because it's more accessible for everyone around the country. They don't have to travel anywhere. But at the same time, a second point you brought out is also that we have to very well make clear, like, what kind of help do I provide? Like, is it the first-hand help, which we also have talked about in a podcast, that is it really like I'm listening to you and I will help you to get the extra help? Or is it really now the extra help? And then I really should be saying, like, what's my background? How am I licensed? And what's our relation in the confidentiality? So So very important. Also, when it's through phone, it can be that I'm here to listen. I'm a volunteer. We also have a lifeline here in Estonia that you can call anytime when you feel that you need to talk to somebody. But you know also that they're volunteers. They're trained to listen, but they will not help you in any like psychological way of therapy-wise. So very clear in that sense. It's different in all countries, but who are the extra help, of course, that we refer to. One thing, of course, is that you need to have these connections beforehand. Like when you already have the young person, yes, you can look for it, but it's good to have them firsthand. And since the listeners are in all over the world or Europe, then we will not go into the detail of who are the people to bring in, but I will ask you, Alejandra, what are the 3 top things you would say that needs to be done in terms of cooperating with mental health services, like when you're in a position of youth worker or youth information worker?
Mm-hmm. I think what you mentioned about confidentiality is super important, because even though we're not professional mental health providers, we kind of need to take a Hippocratic oath, just as doctors do, to try and, of course, respect their privacy, but also the amount of information they want to share with us. Mm-hmm. That means not being too pushy, because perhaps, we want to get all the information as quickly as possible because we think the situation is urgent, but also not give up on getting this information too soon. Mm-hmm. Because each of us have our own, timings, and we have our own rhythms of sharing the information. So it might take a week, it might take 2 hours to get the information fully out of that person, but we need to respect that. Also, I think the second key would be to convey the situation to the mental health professional in the clearest way possible, including all the information that the person told us, but without including our own judgments or opinions. And the third one would be, if it's possible, and unfortunately sometimes it's not, to reach out to the close environment of that person if they consented, of course. Mental health providers, they will help that person out, but sometimes the close environment, the family, the friends, they need to be involved depending on the urgency, I think. But I think it needs to be with consent from that person. So rather than just making our own decisions on whether I'm going to call someone or not, I will fully express my intentions, like, hey, I'm thinking of contacting this person and that person. What do you think? Do you want me to do that? Mm-hmm. Do you want me not to do that? Because, as Pece said, that might do more harm than actually help. Mm-hmm. I don't know. We don't know that person's circumstances. So what if the problems are coming because of issues at home? Of course, that's not convenient to do. Yeah. So, overall, just really listen to that person's needs, fully express what our intentions are so they understand what are going to be the next steps. Mm-hmm.
But Pece, you brought in many times the topic of like who are the ones who give what kind of help. So do you think we need in youth work some kind of protocol, some kind of crisis plan of what do I do when these things happen? Do you think these are necessary?
Absolutely, yes. And I think that what's even should be even a bigger topic is young people must be informed about those protocols. Mm-hmm. Young people must be informed where those information are going, how is and why was the protocol developed. So generally, I think that, young people must, and there must be a protocol. There must be a, how do you say it? Who does what? Mm-hmm. In case of what? It's just basically you do sort of a SWOT analysis. Mm-hmm. if you do this, what are the pros, what are the cons, what is the threat, and what is the opportunity?
Yes, and I think it's very much, even if in your countries you don't have any examples yet, you can find the examples in English in the websites of different organizations, and you can actually do it yourself as well to really think like, who are the people, how do we do it, who and where do we refer. So don't wait till the situation is ready in your country. But we're approaching the end of our podcast, and I will ask you both to bring out the one thing that you really take with you from our discussion.
Can maybe start.
or something you want to stress once more about this topic, when and how to bring in help. What is the main core thing you want everybody to put in their pocket to have it with them?
Yeah, like I said, the song that I heard this morning, A Total Eclipse of the Heart, it's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel angry. You just don't do that excessively. And you need to realize, and we need to be educated from really young age, when is the appropriate and the right time to seek help. When is it appropriate to approach somebody and say, hello, I have a problem.
And it can be also sooner than later. If you're confused and you're feeling something and you need to check, then youth workers, I think, are the best people to go through.
And something else is, as a friend maybe, notice different attitude, approach, and one person is acting really weird and differently, and you notice some symptoms, see something, say something. Go to someone and say, hey, did you notice, for example, Pece was acting a bit different, was acting a bit weird, and maybe go to your principal or whatever and say, I don't think Pece mentally is doing okay.
Yeah, I think that's also very important for youth workers to say to young people. If you hear your friend, like that they would say to young people, if your friend is in trouble and has said anything about worrying symptoms, then you need to come to an adult. This is not something to keep as a secret. But Alejandra, from your side then?
Well, I think having protocols and guidelines that help us carry out our job more efficiently is crucial. That's why I'm really happy that the YIminds mental health guide is coming out. I had the chance to overview it a little bit. Hopefully it's coming out in more languages soon. So it's going to help youth workers and youth information providers across Europe to carry out their tasks in a more efficient and professional way. And the second thing I'd like to share with you is the importance of maintaining healthy habits, even if it's just, really tiny things, going out in nature, if that's what makes you feel better, or, talking to a friend or reading a book, finding something that keeps you stimulated mentally and physically. Because, I'm speaking for myself, my own experience, that whenever I'm not doing those things that I like the most, I start feeling weird and like, something's off. And the moment I go back to those activities that kind of push my energy levels, serotonin, whatever, I immediately feel better. So try and find something that motivates you, a hobby, whatever it is, to make you feel better. And, I think we can all find something. So that's my little tip.
Cool. That's also one thing I wanted to ask you. So for you, what is the one thing that you can't miss?
It's being close to nature. I come from a rural place, so going out and see the trees, see, insects, animals, stuff like that makes me really happy. Whenever I'm away from my home for very long periods of time, and I see a lot of concrete and buildings and stuff, I love it. I love cities as well, but at a certain point, I need to go back to my roots and find the peace and quiet that I am used to. So that's it for me.
And you, Pece?
Oh, I find really big peace of mind and peace in general in animals, especially cats. I love cats. They're the most affectionate. I mean, cats have a love and hate relationship with their owners, but it's just, that it teaches us that, a cat has its limit. It can be pet for 2-3 minutes, and then it starts biting you and scratching you. And that teaches really important topics in our life. Everything has a limit. And we should know where other people's limits are, I think.
And our own as well.
And our own limits.
Yes. Very much relate to both of you. I'm not yet a cat person, but my children kind of make me a bit of an animal person, but also nature. Also, I've done a little bit of research, and there's so many researches that actually say it's not only that we just feel good, but there are like really deep connections why people should be connected to any kind of nature. So thank you for that. And when you're listening to this, then now is the time to go outside. But if you want to hear more about this topic, then as Alejandra already said, there is a guidebook that is also produced through this project, which is called Mental Health Literacy in Youth Work, Youth Information Work, and it is available in ERYICA's website and hopefully in many different languages soon. So thank you for listening and thank you for being here. This podcast was brought to you by ERYICA, the European Youth Information and Counseling Agency, and produced by the Education and Youth Board in Estonia, in cooperation with NGO Peaasi, Head Matters in English. It's co-funded by the European Union in the framework of the Erasmus+ YIminds project on young people's mental health. Views and opinions expressed are, however, those of the host and the guest only, and do not necessarily reflect those of European Union. Neither the European Union nor the granting authority can be held responsible for them.